Hello, everybody. Really nice to see everybody, and really nice to be invited. So thank you very much for doing for inviting me to this meeting. I'm Education Officer for the Broads Authority, and so I've been working with young people in the Broads for quite a long time now, actually, about 30 years in total, with various jobs. I find it brilliant because it's one of the best places that in the country that I could work, but it's also the most stimulating group of people that we could talk to. And recently, we've been involved in a project called Generation Green. And I don't know if it's an example of good practice, but it's certainly fired up my imagination. And so that's what I'd like to share with you today. So I'd quite like to share my screen, if that's okay. Okay, so I'm just going to remind myself how to do all the controls on Zoom. Bear with me. Share screen. Just tell me if this is actually a full screen image. I'm hoping it is. Now, is that can someone just say, yeah, is that a full screen image of Generation Green?
Yeah, it looks great.
Brilliant. That's great. Thank you very much. Okay, so Generation Green is a project. It's quite an ambitious project. It's a national project. The aim was to connect 100,000 young people with nature. And it's not just the Broads Authority that's got that aim. We're just part of a collaboration. Sorry, clicking on. There we go. It's a 16-month project in collaboration with lots of other organizations, and it was aimed to create opportunities for thousands of young people to get involved with nature, and particularly to inspire just one or two, maybe a few dozen at the end, to get jobs and find out about the countryside at the end of the process. But on the journey from that, we were going to connect with literally tens of thousands of young people to give them a taste of what the countryside and the environment was all about through the means of training opportunities, volunteering, residential activities, and online and real learning experiences. It's a marvelous project because it's been really well funded by the Green Recovery Government's Green Recovery Challenge Fund. And it was delivered by an organisation, a collaboration of organisations called Access Unlimited, a coalition of the YHA, the Outward Bound Trust, the Scouts, the Girl Guiding Association, the Field Studies Council, and the 10 English national parks have kind of got together to spend £2.5 million of the government's Green Recovery Challenge Fund money. And that's enabled us to employ project officers to deliver this sort of thing. The model is essentially to, as a sort of inverted pyramid, to raise awareness to an awful lot of young people, to then go on to support self-led and individual actions that they can take. If we could get them out through youth groups and through schools on day visits and doing activities, that would be brilliant. And then a few might go on to be able to do a residential experience, so a night under the stars in a protected area or a landscape or just in the countryside. And maybe just a few would go on and find a pathway to employment and lifelong learning about the environment, which is what we're really all about. So we've targeted young people between the ages of 8 right the way through to 26-year-olds, and we've particularly targeted those young people who might not be given the opportunity to get out in the countryside as easily as many others. So we've targeted underprivileged communities, coastal communities around Norfolk are particularly a target area. Great Yarmouth and Lowestoft, because they're quite close to the Broads. Norwich too. And we've also aimed at changing the visitor profile of the area. So targeting Black, Asian and minority ethnic groups and individuals. That's all been part of the Generation Green project. So as our element of it, bearing in mind this is a national project, we've done our little bit, which was something that we know that we could have, when we set it out as a project, we had a very clear vision in mind. We wanted to get young people out to enjoy the special qualities of the Broads, to learn about the environment that they'd come to see. That's the national park that's on the doorstep. To learn about the unique nature of the area, the unique landscapes, and the peculiar threats to this area, relate that to the global threats to the planet, things like climate change and pollution and so on. So just teaching about wildlife straightforwardly is a good starting point, especially with primary school groups. So we've worked with an awful lot of primary school groups. We've worked with an awful lot of youth groups and secondary school groups to try and get that sort of age bracket of 13 plus out in the countryside. Not just learning about it, but also how to enjoy it. I think that's a crucial element, is finding out what's there and how it can be great fun to be out and sort of in the countryside, great for physical and mental health and well-being. Canoeing is a brilliant example of that. We've done an awful lot of practical work, both from a conservation point of view, but also to improve young people's self-esteem, confidence, team building, and just practical skills. So this is a group from Pathways College, which is a special educational needs group that we've been working with on over a long-term basis. We've worked with some brilliant partners. The YHA doesn't have a youth hostel for us to use with residentials in the Broads. So we've had to work with Sheringham Youth Hostel to provide residential experiences, which are both based around the Broads and the Norfolk coast. And so we've had the marvelous opportunity to get groups to go to stay on residential experiences at Sheringham Youth Hostel. And working with the Norfolk Coast Partnership, we've been able to provide sort of Norfolk protected landscapes as a theme. So both the Broads and the North Norfolk coast. Some of these young people never really had the opportunity to get out and still stay out in the youth hostel and just enjoy a picnic on the beach sometimes. It's been really quite interesting to work with the groups. And we've used a variety of methods, a whole range of approaches, from art to field studies to practical conservation work. We've had some really nice feedback. Just anecdotal kind of work, the feedback that we've gained from schools, from youth group leaders, from parents has been really meaningful. It's made us feel very good about what we've been doing. Most recently we've been working with a group from Charter Academy in Great Yarmouth, just teaching about the Broads. We've had a really nice project with Caister Junior School, who came out on a residential visit, and they've contributed to an installation which is currently outside the Forum in Norwich. I don't know if you've seen a whole series of pillars that have arrived in the last few weeks, just outside the Forum in the centre of Norwich, which are kind of telling the story of the Broads, designed to inspire people about the Broads. And there's a good number of pictures and quotes and poems, haikus and little two-word poems called keddings that are on those pillars, which have been provided by both Caister junior school and charter academy students. And I went over the weekend, and I was really, really pleased with what's their work is out there on very public show. I'll say life skills with the Pathways College has been a part of this. A group that we've been working with most recently is New Roots Integration Youth Project. We've worked closely with a group of young Muslim girls and young women to build confidence outdoors and to pass on some practical skills and the joy of being outside, which has been a really rewarding opportunity. And we've also had a group from New Roots on a residential visit, a really diverse group of young people who were very, very stimulating indeed to work with. The whole coalition has got together to provide a youth residential, and lots of inspiring work has come out of that, from young people all over the country coming together and talking about the value of learning outdoors, learning environment in outdoor environments. As I say, we've had some brilliant partners that we've worked with. We couldn't have done this as an authority alone. We've worked with the Norfolk Coast Partnership, National Trust, Barton Turf Adventure Centre, the YHA, the Country Trust, How Hill Trust, lots of other people. And hopefully we've been consolidating and cementing those links through practical engagement. We've turned in, there's some stats on the screen there, we've turned in quite a lot of snapshots of engagement with young people from all ages. Another project I just wanted to mention, because I think this has been just a small project as an aside to Generation Green, but linked in with Generation Green, was a very nice engagement opportunity we had with the Clarion Futures Housing Association, funded by Clarion Futures themselves and the Community Ambassador Programme, and the government's #IWill project. And that was to work with a small group of young people on a specifically social action project in their local community, but linked with the Broads National Park. And so again, the themes were self-confidence and communication, practical skills, learning about the wider environment. So we put together a program of activities with the young people, mostly down in their local area, which was Fuller's Pond in Thorpe Marriott. We linked that locality with the national park, and so it's wetland, and so we treated it and discovered it in the same way as we would have carried out a bigger study of the Broads, making the links between wetlands, both in urban areas and in protected areas. One of the nice things about this project was we were able to do a John Muir Discovery Award as part of the programme. So the young people were involved in John Muir Awards. And I think that really is an underpinning model and a nice, really good award to give young people that are involved in this sort of thing, because it's all about discovering and exploring and conserving and sharing experiences about wild places. One of the best things about this project in particular was a social action community day at the end of the project, in which 180 people came down to Fuller's Pond to get involved in a family activity day and to look at what the group had been doing and to learn about the fantastic work of restoring the environment, and hopefully be inspired about them to look after their own little patch of countryside and to learn a bit about the Broads as well. And so that was a really quite a nice and successful event on a glorious sunny Saturday. I'm going to say last year, but actually it was the year before now. So that was fun. Yeah, fabulous. That little project that we're involved with. What are we doing at the moment? Unfortunately, Generation Green funding is coming to an end, but we are hopefully taking a lot of the learning forward, and we're hopefully establishing a Broads Youth Ranger program, supporting youth ambassadors and doing a lot of the projects and taking forward the learning that we've gained from Generation Green to future initiatives. And we've just started some new groups. Just worked with a project with Alex Day, who's going to be presenting in a second, with Great Yarmouth Scouts, and hopefully we'll be able to consolidate those partnerships that we've made. So the future is looking quite interesting and certainly busy. A few things that we've learned from the project. It's really important to involve young people in planning, of both letting them know what's available out there and what they could get involved with, and then getting their opinions to come back and develop projects. I found it really helpful and valuable to work with partner organisations. There's a lot of you out there, a lot of partners organisations, and that's been really valuable. Realism, really kind of get to grips with what's available and what you can achieve, but don't underestimate the abilities to achieve, because there's a fantastic resource of young people's enthusiasm out there, and it's amazing what can be done. Practical, fun and relevancy are all important themes to carry forward, being realistic but available to all. And adaptation and evolution throughout the process is an important consideration. And what we learned at the beginning is we need to consider the outcomes. What do we want young people to get out of the project at the end? And that is a really important thing, I think, to consider. I'm sure everybody does it. Consider right from the word go. How do we get to the end point? Decide on the end point, and then decide how you achieve that end point. So yeah, that's Generation Green and the community action program work that we've been doing with Clarion, and that's all I've got to say. That's our contact details, which I'll leave on the screen for a second. But thank you very much. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Nick. That was brilliant. Those photos were lovely as well, and it's really made me want to go out to the Broads this weekend. Excellent. We'll just give you a few minutes just to jot down those contact details if you want to, but we will obviously share the recording as well, so you'll have that on there. And I've just put a link in the chat as well for the information about the John Muir Award that Nick mentioned, in case any of you are interested in using that with any young people that you're working with.